We'll now move on to what we think are the weaknesses of this team. Kabir, do you want to start off on the weaknesses?
So I think their biggest weakness is that they have a lack of fast bowling backups. Not just fast bowling. So actually, that's not true. So they have good overseas fast bowling backups. They have Cottrell, they have Nishan Bimble using fast bowling all rounder, and so that in terms of that they do have backups, but they don't have any Indian fast bowling backups at all. They have barely a barely like two or three guys who can make the first team in terms of Indian fast bowlers. And they're struggling to fit Indian fast bowling into the first 11. So I think that's the biggest weakness.
Any other weaknesses that you can see?
Yeah, I think obviously bowling is one weakness. I think as a Punjab fan, I would just say hopefully the UAE, hoping the spinners will have a bigger part to play. So maybe the fact that we don't have that many pace bowlers, we might be able to get away with just playing 2 or 3, maybe one match. So we could potentially toy with that. But of course, it is quite risky, especially if someone gets injured early on in the first few matches. Could be an issue over there. I think the other issue over there is we have lots of attacking batsmen. So everyone, these big shot makers who love kind of setting the tone. Again, not sure at the back end of the tournament when the track's getting slow, it's going to keep low. I'm not sure we're going to get 200, 220 pitches all the way along. I think sometimes, 120, 130 might be a winning score. And looking at our lineup, we don't have that many players who kind of play around that and can be a foundation. So I think that could be a risk as well. And I think, again, too much over-reliance on KL Rahul and Gale at the top. So if, those who get out early, it's not looking good for us.
Fair enough. Noor, any other weaknesses you can spot in this team?
No, I agree with what you guys both said. I'm worried about Kings K in terms of I know if they scored 120, 140 runs in the first 15 overs, with the finishing, that batting they have, they can get to a 200 score. In the last 5 overs, they can do something crazy like that. But my worry is can they get to the 120 if they lose a few early wickets, right? That's my one problem with that. I also think the over-reliance on Gale, and we need to realize he's 40 years old now. He's not the Gale we used to know and we saw in RCB. So it's going to be a different type of player, and it can be a hit and miss. So that just with the batting, so even though it's really strong and they have game winners there, they need to learn how to be more consistent. I also think Kabir mentioned something about the Indian pace bowlers. I agree. I don't think they have great backups for that. I also don't think they have the most threatening spin attack. They have some talent there, but I think they might actually regret leaving Ashwin out for this season, because what they really need is a player like Ashwin right now. They need a spinner. They need an experienced spinner who can also, bat a little bit at the end. So I think those are my weaknesses for Kings Game. And it's their bowling in comparison to their batting just looks substantially weaker.
Yeah, for sure. I think Noor actually spoke about the point I was going to bring out. Kabir spoke about the pace, but also the spin. There's, apart from Mujib, who's an international spinner, they don't really have any internationally known, or internationally proven spinners. Even they've got people like Ravi Bishnoi and even Gautam, but these are not people who've proven it on the international stage. And with Ravi Bishnoi, he was really good in under-19s, but he bowls it a bit slowly, and it is possible that he could get taken by the more experienced batsmen this year. So let's see how they perform, how he and some of the other Indians perform, because they're really banking on young Indian talent to carry the key holes in their bowling. And I think in link with that is the fact that because of all these problems in their bowling, the way they choose their 4 foreigners become really key, because they have, for me, one of the strengths is that they have a lot of choice in their overseas. They've got all kinds of players they can choose from, but choosing the correct 4 from those 8 to ensure that they fits the team balance perfectly, I think is going to be really important, because their 4 foreigners have to be people who are going to win them games single-handedly, especially if you look at the bowling. So I think it's very important that they choose the right foreigners when it comes to building their squad.